Hi, I'm Father Jim Forson, and I'd like to share with you some reflections on the gospel on this third Sunday in Ordinary Time. Several years ago, I was lucky enough with a friend of mine to go on vacation to New Zealand because, I had seen all those Hobbit movies, and the hillsides looked so beautiful, and I wanted to be able to see it with my own eyes. And so we went to New Zealand, and we got a tour agency to take us way into the hill country where it's so steep and green, beautiful, and filled with sheep. I think they have something like 5 sheep for every human being. It was unbelievable everywhere. And so we had this old Army surplus half-track that we all had piled into because the hills were so steep, and we were going up into the hill country. And again, sheep everywhere. And I saw on the side of this dirt road, there was this little lamb all by itself, just bleating piteously. And the tour guide said, "Oh yeah, it must have lost its mother, or its mother lost it." And so as we passed that little lamb, it started to follow us up the hill. And I pointed that out to the tour guide. And he said, "Oh yeah, when they get lost, they'll follow anything." Now, can't you sense some kind of a deep truth in that thought? When you're lost, you'll follow anything. I was thinking once, how was it that Hitler got voted into office by the people of Germany? And I was reading about that era in German history, how after the World War I and the Treaty of Versailles, Germany was basically handcuffed, and their economy was never allowed really to grow, let alone their nation again. And they were just lost. And they voted Hitler into office because lost people will follow anything. And they followed him right off the edge of the cliff. So, who do I follow? Well, in the gospel today, Jesus is walking along the shore of the Galilee, and he sees the fishermen that he knows, and he calls to them and says, "Follow me." And I'd like to think that, like the disciples, that's who I follow. I follow Jesus. But do I really? Do I? Because to follow someone means that I'm going to conform my life to their life. I'm going to be continuing his way and make his way my way, his thoughts my thoughts. That's what it means to follow someone. So do I really follow Jesus? Well, I don't know. Sometimes when I get lost, and I don't like thinking of myself, who does, as being lost, but we all can get lost in anger or fear, or this world can be pretty scary sometimes, and we wonder who's going to solve all these intractable problems with immigration, or with pollution, or with global warming, war, and all of that. And do I think that Jesus is going to somehow crack that nut and make all that go away? And do I really follow him, or do I find myself having a whole lot more trust in following this political party or that political party, and this guy or that woman or whoever's running for office? Do I think that they're the ones that I'm going to follow? I'm afraid sometimes, yeah, I do. And I'm not really following Jesus. When Jesus said to the apostles, "Come follow me," it says in Scripture, they immediately abandoned their nets. That word. They abandoned their nets. They didn't fold them up and put them off to the side. They didn't save them for a future date. They abandoned their nets. Why? What was it about Jesus that made people want to abandon their former way of life and follow after him? The person of Jesus must have obviously been something that made people want to follow him, made people want to conform their lives to his life. There was something in the way that Jesus would be with those who were marginalized, with the poor, with the sick, that made them want to be close to him. The way he would be with the prostitutes or the tax collectors. St. Matthew, a tax collector, pretty profitable life, and he abandoned it to follow Christ. There was something about the way Jesus extended his mercy even to those who didn't deserve mercy, or his compassion, or his understanding, his forgiveness, that made people want to be like him. And when you want to be like somebody, you follow somebody, and you conform your life to their life. And that's what we're called to do today in the gospel. We're called to abandon, and maybe even immediately abandon whoever else it is that I may be following right now, and follow Christ and conform my life to the gospel. And you know if you're a disciple of Jesus and if you follow him, because if I were a true disciple of Christ, well, then I would believe in his gospel, the gospel that he proclaimed, that God is the Father of all. And therefore, all men, all women are brothers and sisters, and all those people around me, they're my brothers and sisters. I would really believe that, and I would act accordingly. And if I were to follow the gospel of Jesus Christ, well, then I would do what he did. And I would extend overwhelming compassion and understanding to the people in this world who can sometimes be very difficult to understand or hard to whom to extend compassion. And if I were to really follow the gospel of Jesus Christ and conform my life to his life, well, then I would be extending to everyone that I met mercy. Mercy. So, I think of St. Peter. I think he got it right. Later on in his life, Jesus was giving a very, very difficult teaching to follow. And the people said, no, we can't accept this. That's too hard a teaching to accept. And they left him. And Jesus turned to his apostles and he said, are you too leaving? And Peter said, fantastic, he said, Lord, to whom will we go? You have the words of everlasting life. Right. So, do I believe that? Do I believe that it's Jesus who has the words of everlasting life? That it's Jesus who shows us really how to live life? More than any, political party out there, more than any world leader, more than any other philosophy, is it Jesus that I follow? And if so, well, then I abandon these other illusions and I conform my life to Jesus Christ and I follow him because, like Peter, I believe you have the words of everlasting life. So maybe this week, let's give that some thought, shall we? Do I truly follow Jesus?